If you were to ever design a knife, what would it look like? What would it be made out of? And how much would it cost? How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And today we're not just going to be talking about one knife. We're going to be talking about three. And the reason we're talking about all three knives is that these three knives have all been designed by knife reviewers right here in your backyard in YouTube. And it's time that we give them their due, that we talk about what makes these knives special, what they represent. And also, it's not a grail or garbage ranking because these are all prototypes. Each and every one of them have things about them that is going to change. And so for those reasons, it wouldn't be right for me to put them on my leaderboard as they are currently in my possession. But we're going to talk about them anyways. We're going to talk about my final thoughts and how highly I recommend them. So buckle up, grab your favorite drink, think about that knife design. And by the way, throughout the video, if you come up with any ideas of what you would like to see in a knife if you were to design it, let me know in the comments section down below. And if you find yourself having a good time, consider hitting the subscribe button. These are knife reviewer knives. Let's check it out. All right, guys, we got to talk about these three knives because they are just so damn cool. We have the Tempest Knives Microburst, the Old Squirrel Knives Scythe, and then of course the Divo Knives Pony Stout. These are all really interesting knives for one reason or another. We're going to talk about them. And we're going to start off with this guy. This is the Tempest Knives Microburst, the second knife design release from Casey, also known as Knives Fast channel. Make sure you check him out because not only does he design knives, he also, of course, makes knife reviews, and he's pretty dang good at it too. This one is going to be coming in right around that $88 mark. Of course, that is right now during the pre-order. That price will go up. If you didn't know, you will get these nice micarta handle scales with the, I'm assuming that's a titanium backspacer wire pocket clip, which is easily replaceable if you're like me and you're not a fan of wire clips, and this really utilitarian style blade. Now, on a knife that's under $100, what I look for is quality in the things that matter the most. First and foremost, the handle scales have to feel nice and comfortable. At this price range, it's got to be a knife that I want to carry, and this achieves that. You have a nice deep finger cutout right here so you can choke up, and right behind that point, you have jimping. You didn't have jimping on the pinion, but you get it here. And this blade shape is a no-nonsense blade shape. You know, it's not super long. It's going to fit most people's knife flaws. Of course, check your knife flaws. But you can tell it's meant for utility based on the downward curve of it, almost like a sheep's foot, but not quite, almost like a Warncliffe, but not quite. And then of course, running on ceramic bearings, that action is really good. Now, I'm not a huge fan of thumb studs, but it's starting to make me a believer. Running on ceramic bearings with a single-sided captive pivot is awesome. I like the fact that there is not really a whole lot of billboarding here. You get the Tempest Knives logo right there, and that's not bad. Blade steel is going to be 14C when these release. So if you order one, it will come into 14C, which is phenomenal. We don't have a ton of body screws, so it's going to be easy to take apart. And of course, the pocket clip is supported by a flat screw, so it's going to fit in and out of your pockets. It's not going to tear up your jeans, which is phenomenal. $88, that's awesome. Next up, we've got the Devo Knives Pony Stout. Now, this one is a deployment hole only. This one's also going to come in 14C28N, and it's going to have your option of either polished G10 or micarta, and the micarta is going to have a couple different colorway options. Personally, I'm leaning towards the blue. It does also come with a wire clip, not a ton of body screws, very similar. The pocket clip will be reversible. I hesitate to call it ambidextrous just because I know that a lot of lefties out there are like, just because you could switch the pocket clip doesn't make it ambidextrous, bro. I get it. Just like with the other one, just like with the Microburst, it's running on ceramic bearings, and that action is really good. The blade shape is a little crazier. It's kind of like a harpoon, kind of like a sheep's foot, a harpoon foot, shot in the foot, whatever you want to call it. It's really cool. This is an improvement as far as utility is concerned over the original Stout because it is thinner behind the edge. It's got a nice deep hollow grind. There is no jimping on here, although I wish that there was some. Personally, that's just my personal opinion. A lot of people tend to think that you don't need it. Of course, I do. I mean, I would have thought that it would have been really cool had they just put the jimping right there, because then you get grip where you need it. But they didn't do that. Instead, they gave us a crown spine, which is also really, really nifty. The handle scales are nicely chamfered and rounded out, very comfortable in the hand, no matter which way you grip it. Full 4-finger grip, no nonsense. And of course, this is also a liner lock. Are we starting to see some similarities yet? Bang! This guy right here is the Old Squirrel Knives Scythe. And if you're like, what? That doesn't look like a scythe. Wait for it. There you go. The Old Squirrel Knives Scythe. And I'm sorry, like, this is super cool. I'm not going to say anything to the contrary. I like knives that are different. And if we're talking about similarities, you might say, oh, finally, not a wire pocket clip, but this one, in fact, is going away. They are switching it out with a wire clip. Now, I'm not mad about that because those wire clips are easily replaceable with a Lynch Northwest clip or a Rips Garage Tech clip. And I just love the fact that this knife is doing something different. Now, unlike these other two, which are going to be in 14C, this one comes in with the hot cousin, which is 154 cm on the steel and polished micarta handle scales with a full-length micarta backspacer. That's really, really awesome. Also, I like the design on the pivot. The pivot looks great. Now, if you didn't know, this was originally a fixed blade, and the fixed blades didn't even get to a pre-order. They sold out on Instagram before anybody else could get them, and I could see why. The more I handle this, the more I really want one of my own, and I think I am going to reach out and see if I can make that happen. By the way, I had people asking me when this knife was going to be released. I didn't get that information in the little informational sheet that was sent to me, but I did reach out, and they told me that most likely there is not going to be a pre-order. They're just going to release them all at once. That should be happening end of April, end of May. So sometime in the next 2 months. And believe me when I say follow my community posts, because I will be making an announcement when I find out for sure when these are going to be available. This is an awesome Pical style knife. It's meant for getting you out of a pinch if you ever find yourself in one, but also I could see this blade shape being really useful for utility stuff. Despite the fact that that tip is extremely pokey, that is like a needle point tip. And also the recurve on the blade is going to allow you to stay in those cuts no matter how you do it. And it does have some jimping right there, so it's not just a reverse grip knife. This is one of those knives that is actually meant to be in a reverse grip, but you'll notice there is no retention ring. I'm actually okay with that. It helps with the low profile nature. Now, something that I did not touch on in my regular review of this is that I do think that it'd be kind of nifty if we had a couple different options here for deployment. First and foremost, I like that there's a flipper option, but what if there was also an option that had a deployment hole? I found this out recently. You don't even necessarily need one. You can still reverse flick it, no problem, but a deployment hole would have been cool. I also think that instead of a rear flipper, a front flipper could have worked really well, because it just would have lined up perfectly with that backspacer. And some of us like front flippers. I mean, I'm not a huge front flipper guy, but I do think that it would have worked. And then, of course, lastly, a wave feature. So if this had an Emerson wave on it, it would be the ultimate get yourself out of a pinch knife, because the moment you pull it out of your pocket, it would deploy. Now, I'm not sure how that would mess with the aesthetic, but if there's ever a Scythe V2 folding knife, please, please, please consider a wave. Just for me, I would love that. Or even if there was a deployment hole and then maybe an optional accessory that you could put on there as a wave. I'm just spitballing, but that's just something that I think would be pretty dang cool. Now, all of these knives have something in common. They actually have multiple things in common. For one is going to be price range. All of these knives are going to be coming in under that $100 price point, which is awesome. All of these knives are going to have materials that you already know and love, like 14C as well as 154 cm on the blade steels. They're all going to have wire pocket clips, which makes them very carry friendly, and they all have snappy deployments running on ceramic bearings with really good action and detent. The reason I mention all of this is because knife reviewers are not just people that stand behind the cameras. We're coming out of the woodworks as people that also want to make our designs and our ideas come to life. And they follow the opinion of the knife community. Smooth action, good detent, meaningful deployment that people care about, utility. All of these are things that I see everyone in the comment section bring to the table every day when they say, yes, I like this knife, or no, I don't like this knife. It's awesome to me because we get to see the comment section come alive in these knives, because remember, guys, at the end of the day, we are consumers as well, and we want what you want, and that is for the knives to be as awesome looking, as utilitarian, and as affordable as possible. So let me know, are you going to pick up all three of these? Just one of these? None of these? I'm curious. These are all going to be coming out here in the next couple of months, and I for one would love to have all three, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm going to link the channels that made these knives possible and make sure to give them a shout out. Let them know that you watched this on my channel and you enjoyed it. Guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, boo-hoo, you know what to do. And if you want to see more awesome knife content, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you haven't done so already, help me out with the algorithm and smack that notification bell. I'm Rollshambo. I'll catch you on the flip side.